Good evening, friends. Tonight I want to talk about something that touches every one of us deeply, even if we don't always recognize it. Samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. This isn't just a concept found in ancient scriptures. It's the reality of life as we know it, our struggles, our hopes, and our search for meaning. Through the wisdom of the Vedas, Puranas, and the teachings of ISKCON, let's explore what samsara is, why we're caught in it, and how we can break free. Along the way, I'll share a story from the Srimad Bhagavatam that brings this profound concept to life. Let's start with a question. Have you ever felt like life is just one thing after another, a cycle of joy and sorrow, success and failure, beginnings and endings? That's samsara. The word samsara comes from the Sanskrit root samshush, which means to flow or to wander. It represents the cycle we're all caught in: birth, life, death, and rebirth. The soul, or Atman, is eternal, yet it moves from one body to another, lifetime after lifetime, driven by its past actions and desires. The Rig Veda says, when the soul departs, it moves to new realms, only to return again to take another birth. This endless journey is fueled by karma, the residue of our actions, and ignorance, our forgetfulness of our true spiritual nature. The reason we're trapped in this cycle lies within us. Three forces keep us bound. Every action we perform, whether good or bad, creates an imprint that binds us to its consequences. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad states, "As is one's desire, so is one's action. As is one's action, so is one's destiny." We forget that we are eternal souls, identifying instead with our temporary bodies, relationships, and possessions. We cling to things and people, hoping they will bring us lasting happiness, even though everything in this world is fleeting. The Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, verses 62 to 63 explains this process beautifully. From attachment arises desire, from desire anger, and from anger delusion, which leads to the destruction of wisdom and bondage. ISKCON emphasizes that this forgetfulness of our true spiritual nature is due to Maya, Krishna's illusory energy. Maya makes the temporary appear eternal, keeping us distracted from our real purpose. To truly understand samsara, let me share a powerful story from the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 11, Chapter 23, about the Brahmana who lost everything. This Brahman lived a simple, devout life, but one day, calamity struck. He lost his wealth, his family, and even his health. Everything he had worked for vanished in an instant, yet instead of despairing, he laughed. When people around him asked, "How can you laugh at a time like this?" he replied, "This body, this wealth, and these relationships were never mine to begin with. They belong to the cycle of samsara. Just as rivers flow into the ocean and then evaporate into clouds, so too does life's happiness and sorrow come and go. Why should I cling to what is not eternal?" The Brahmin realized that everything in this material world is temporary, like a dream. By detaching himself from these illusions, he transcended samsara and attained liberation. The Puranas describe samsara as a wheel, constantly turning. Sometimes we're at the top, experiencing happiness and success, and other times we're at the bottom, facing suffering and loss. Even the devas, celestial beings, are not exempt from this cycle. The Garuda Purana offers a vivid description of the soul's journey after death. Depending on one's karma, the soul experiences different realms, sometimes heavenly, sometimes hellish, before returning to another birth. This journey is often painful, like being tossed by waves in a vast ocean, searching for the shore. The Bhagavad Gita chapter 8 verse 16 states, "From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place." This is the nature of samsara. No matter how high we climb materially, we remain bound to the cycle. Here's the good news. We don't have to stay trapped. The ultimate goal of human life is to transcend samsara and attain moksha, or liberation. But how do we get there? performing selfless actions without attachment to the results, pursuing knowledge of the self and realizing the eternal nature of the soul, bhakti yoga devotion to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. ISKCON emphasizes bhakti yoga as the most direct path to liberation. When we surrender to Krishna and cultivate a loving relationship with him, the bonds of samsara begin to loosen. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 66, says, "Surrender unto me, and I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear." This surrender is not about losing control. It's about trusting Krishna to guide us to freedom. Liberation doesn't require us to renounce everything. It's about changing our mindset and aligning our actions with spiritual truth. Here are 3 steps you can start today. Chant the Maha Mantra. This mantra purifies the mind and connects us directly to Krishna, cutting through the bonds of karma. Study the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to understand the deeper truths of life. Associate with devotees, surround yourself with people who inspire you spiritually. The Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd Canto, chapter 25, verse 25, says, "In the association of pure devotees, transcendental knowledge is awakened." When I first encountered the concept of samsara, it felt overwhelming. How could I possibly escape something so vast and endless? But then I realized it's not about achieving liberation in one leap. It's about taking small, steady steps. Every time we chant Krishna's name, every time we choose devotion over distraction, we're breaking free from samsara, little by little. And isn't that what we all want? To find freedom from the endless chasing, the fear of loss, and the weight of regret. The story of the Brahmana reminds us that everything in this material world is temporary, but our connection to Krishna is eternal. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 47, says, "Of all yogis, one who worships me with faith and devotion is most intimately united with me and is the highest of all." So let's take this journey together, one step at a time. Let's chant, reflect, and strive to see beyond the temporary. In that connection to Krishna, we'll find the freedom and peace we've been searching for. Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing this moment with me.